When it comes to dropping the needle on that black gold that floats your audiophile boat, you've got more cartridge options than you'll know what to do with, whether it's moving magnet, moving coil, high output moving coil, or specialty carts. The door is wide open and you, yes, you get to choose your own adventure. But unfortunately for the masses, some doors, whether we like it or not, are under lock and key unless you happen to have Oprah money. And in today's hi-fi adventure, we don't have Oprah money, but we did break into her mansion and we jacked a cartridge that costs $16,000. Sorry, $16,500. And I know what you're thinking, Ron, what in the world does this thing actually sound like? Well, with a warm welcome back to New Record Day, there is only one way to find out. All right, folks, before we get started, I need to kick off this video with a sincere apology and a gesture of appreciation. About 7 years ago, not 7 years ago, but a long time ago, Josh from I Believe in HiFi sent me this cart to take for a spin, and there has been setback after setback that has prevented this video from finally happening. Josh has been a saint, and I really appreciate his patience. Now, there is no horse in this race for me, and yes, this is the official ethics statement. Josh sent me this cart to review and also sent me a step-up transformer as well. What he didn't send me is a blank check for saying nice things, and at no point was there any chit-chat about what I need or should say to you guys about this cartridge. Now, as a gesture for his patience, and no, he doesn't know that I'm doing this, I just want to shine a quick light on his site and his store as a way of saying thanks. I Believe in HiFi is a one-stop shop for high-end audiophile goodies ranging from, I'm going to butcher all these names, I'm really sorry, Ari Surat, Echo Diastasis, Origin Live, AV Room Service, Pink Fawn, TopWing, Torqueo, and Vermouth Audio. Located in Austin, Texas, Josh has a well-treated listening room and would love to show you some of the finer things in hi-fi. For auditions and more, please contact Josh with the information down below in the description box of this video. And Josh, seriously, man, thank you. Thank you for being so patient and generous. It really means a lot to me. All right, before we get to the listening impressions and sound clips, let me back up and at least cover the basics on the TopWing Red Sparrow. The TopWing Suzaku, commonly known as the Red Sparrow, is a high-end moving coil MC Phono cartridge renowned for its innovative coreless straight flux system. This design eliminates the traditional core material, positioning the left and right coils in a V shape directly above the magnet. This configuration allows the stylus to accurately capture fluctuations in the magnetic flux from the record grooves, resulting in precise sound reproduction. One notable feature of the Red Sparrow is its user-friendly maintenance. The stylus assembly is designed for easy replacement, offering a cost-effective solution for cartridge upkeep. Slow down. Before we go to town on the comments section, cost-effective is a sliding scale. It might not be effective for me or for you, and that's okay. So in other words, hands off those keyboards, you mighty warriors. Anyhow, for those who care about the rest of the specs, here we go. The stylus type is line contact. The cantilever material is aluminum. The output voltage is a teeny tiny 0.2 millivolts. Internal impedance is 12.3 ohms at 1 kilohertz. And the recommended tracking force comes in between 1.75 and 2 grams. Of course, in order to listen to a cartridge, we need a turntable. The Harmony Mark II was chomping at the bit to spin the Red Sparrow, and boy, did that combo work out just fine. For those who haven't heard my take on this gorgeous deck, you can check out the review that we released just last Sunday. As for electronics, I've been falling head over heels for the Manly Labs Oasis, and that was indeed my weapon of choice throughout this review process. Granted, the Red Sparrow has a very low output, which is where a step-up transformer might come in handy. Even though the Oasis had enough gain to get some juice out of this cart, it also sounded fantastic with this MC step-up transformer from XL Sound. Thanks again, Josh. I really do appreciate it. Oh, I should also note, that little fella also gave me a lot more versatility with other phono amps that I have laying around, including this ultra rare Dodd Audio Phono preamp. Rest in peace, Gary. You are missed by many. As for the rest of the signal chain, I had to set aside my reference gear as I've been having some issues with one of the tube sockets, but no worries. The Galleon TS120SC was more than capable of providing the goods as I fired up the system and I got rolling. Through the week, I bounced between these prototype speakers that I've been chatting about, my XLS Encores, and even these guys. Hold on a second, let me grab them. Oh, my goodness. I love it when speakers are heavy. Usually means they're good. This probably weighs 500 pounds, but who's counting? I've been working out a lot. Yeah, the Radiant Acoustics Clarity 6.2s. Review will happen eventually. I'm just going to throw this over. I'm not going to throw it over here. I'm going to lightly toss it. Oh! After a few records of listening with the Stratos cartridge on the Harmony Mark II, I mustered up all of the courage that I had in my soul to take on the task of installing the Red Sparrow. It was nerve-wracking. Anyhow, as you can imagine, my excitement when I dropped the needle on Pines of Rome, bringing me right back to the early beginnings of this channel. As for my first impressions of the Red Sparrow, of course, knowing it might take a few records before this cart starts to relax, I gotta say, what I heard wasn't what I expected or anticipated. Of course, I can't ignore the price of the cartridge, and I can't ignore my bias going into this, but the truth is, there were some immediate things about this cart that surprised me, and they still do even after listening to it for hours and hours and hours. First surprise, either this Stratos cartridge sounds a lot like the Red Sparrow, or the Red Sparrow sounds a lot like the Stratos. Now look, a cartridge can indeed have a sound or a character, and there are many trackers out there that are all about details, and there are others that give you that lit from within experience. The Stratos, and now the Red Sparrow, don't really seem to play either game based on what I'm hearing. Well, kind of. There are some side steps and some nuances, so let's chat about that. I do think that the Red Sparrow reveals the top octave and upper mid-range just a little bit more than the Stratos. It's hard to say, and first I thought it was actually softer sounding, but it's not. It's refined, especially through the lower part of the mid-band, but on top, there's some clarity going on. So let me show you what I'm talking about, and you can hear this for yourself. Toss on some headphones right now, and let's just run the first clip. And one thing, there seems to be just a little bit of surface noise, probably like a hair or some debris that fell down onto the record as I was recording this, and it causes just a slight distraction on the Red Sparrow in this clip, so just ignore the lower end thump that you might hear, even if you may not even be able to hear it. I notice it every time, and it drives me crazy, but let's play the first track and kind of go from there. So it's close, right? I mean, we are picking flies out of horse turds here, but if you carefully listen, there seems to be something lighter and more airy about the Sparrow in those cymbals. It sounds to me just a dash more splashy, and the decay seems to be just a little bit more pronounced. All right, headphones back on. Here is a second drop that also illustrates the same thing. Check this one out. So, if you listen to that track, those tambourines or whatever the heck they are seem to stand out just a little bit more with the Sparrow. It sounds, again, just a little, and I mean just a little bit more focused. So yeah, I mean, that was my first impression, that indeed both of these carts have more in common than they do differences. As I listened and I investigated, it was its open and articulate top end that seemed to be the standout feature of the Red Sparrow. At the same time, keeping in mind that this is a review and it all can't be sunshine and rainbows, there are a couple of areas of performance where it was the Stratos that impressed me a little more than the Sparrow, and whether you agree might come down to whatever dragon that you're chasing. As an example, one of the things that I've mentioned about the Stratos in prior videos is there seems to be just a tad of richness in the heart of mid-range. After playing with the Sparrow for a while and going back to the Stratos, this was confirmed in a matter of seconds while dropping the needle on Mike Valentine's direct-to-vinyl Big Band Spectacular. Now, to my ears, and hopefully you hear this as well, while both do a great job with the dynamics and scale of this song, the Stratos seems to have just a dash more punch in the lower mid-range and mid-bass. If you don't notice this, listen to the track again and try to focus your attention on the lower toms of this track. Let's check it out. So, keeping in mind that volume matching of these tracks was incredibly difficult due to the differences in output, I hope after a lot of care and attention to detail on my end that this is a fair and even fight. Even still, and especially in the room and actually listening to the Red Sparrow for quite a while, it seems to me that the mid-range, mid-bass, and bass is perfectly neutral. With the Stratos, there seems to be 1 or 2 percentage points of heck yes in that region that to my ears simply appreciates. It's just a little bit more Now, swinging the pendulum back to the Sparrow, with its ability to fling the doors wide open, especially on top, I did take notice that for folks who dig the sound of horns and brass, this cart might butter your biscuit in a quick hurry. Let's toss those cans back on and listen to this next drop and we can chat about it. Now on that track, I think more than all of these other drops, the Sparrow takes flight, and it flexes muscle in the top end. There's a nice bite and authority that I can hear in those horns, and combined with the percussion as a backdrop, the Red Sparrow once again doesn't disappoint when it comes to the detail department. So, we have sort of a pivot here. I mean, I didn't know what to expect when trying out a $16,500 cartridge, and sure, the clouds didn't necessarily part, but at the same time, I didn't walk away feeling underwhelmed. I think what this goes to show is the high-end game and the ultra high-end is less about better and perhaps more about preference. I mean, do you want vanilla with a dash of sparkle on top? Well, the Red Sparrow seems to be that. And no, don't go thinking for a second that vanilla is boring in this example because, my goodness, it's not. What I'm saying is the Sparrow just seems to walk a tightrope of details and doesn't deviate from a straight line. And look, if you're still not convinced, let's try one more needle drop to showcase just how exciting vanilla can be. And yes, of course, we're going to be checking out Pines of Rome. Cans on, let's go. $1960, folks. 1960. Slap me sideways and call me Susie. We have learned nothing about recording. Nothing. Either way, as you can clearly hear in that needle drop, both of these carts do a great job of expressing dynamics, and the Red Sparrow does indeed highlight a little more of the upper harmonics in this recording. So this one was quick and to the point, and there is no need to get long-winded. What does a $16,500 Phono Cartridge sound like? Well, in the case of the Red Sparrow, it sounds balanced and linear with a little bit more focus on time domain information. Which I gotta say, it makes it a phenomenal choice for those who refuse to compromise on every single detail hidden in the grooves of the recording. As for other carts like the Pure Fidelity Stratos, well, they might not sound quite as intricate, but some listeners might prefer a little bit bolder mid-range, as I heard in all of these comparisons. Either way, I want to again thank Josh from I Believe in HiFi for sending this bad boy out to me, and folks, please make sure that you bookmark his store and check it out and see what he has to offer. And with that, I will see you top flight loving audiophiles in the next video.